with big feelings? I do. Today, I'm going to talk with you about emotional regulation, what it is and what it is not. I'm also going to talk with you and teach you about where feelings come from. We think they come from the heart because that's where we feel them, but they actually come from our brain. And I'm going to help you learn how to make friends with those feelings, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, so you can have peace and learning in your homeschool. Hi, I'm Kimberly Bennett, licensed professional counselor of over 20 years and a homeschooling mom for 5 of those years. I'm also a podcaster, a digital content creator, and the founder and CEO of 2 free advocacy resource websites for homeschooling families. It's onlyhomeschooling.com and the Homeschool Counseling Network. Why should you take time to learn about feelings? Well, for starters, feelings can't be controlled, but they can be managed. Feelings just are. You can learn how to manage those feelings. Feelings also have a function. They have a purpose. All behavior has a purpose as well. And once we understand it, we can better learn how to manage unpleasant feelings and choose appropriate responses. But mainly, it's about relationship. Above anything else that I teach my child in homeschool, no other subject, really no subject is important as much as the relationship that I have with my child. That is why I choose to homeschool. And I'll bet it's the reason you chose to homeschool as well. Finally, it helps increase self-esteem for you in your parenting efforts and for your child. If you have ever experienced heartache, you would be hard-pressed to be convinced that the pain you felt didn't actually come from your heart, but instead your brain. More specifically, a part of your brain known as the limbic system. The limbic system is the area of your brain that houses the seat of emotion. It's this network of neurons located in the upper part of the brainstem, just below the cortex, and it influences our moods, which in turn impacts our actions. So long before we learn how to manage our feelings, we must first understand their function. And today we're going to talk about 4 different functions of feelings: protection, bonding, communication, and response, or basically our behaviors in response to our feelings. So, the good old limbic system. It influences our moods, which in turn impacts our actions, and it is also the seat of our emotion and memories, basically. So, the first function of feelings: protection. I love humor. You could say that it's because it's in my genes. My dad was quite a prankster. I'm the youngest child. But in all honesty, it actually has nothing to do with my funny bone. It has to do more with my amygdala. The amygdala is an almond-shaped cluster of cells near the base of the brain, and it is also responsible for memory, emotion, and protection. Our amygdala takes all the different sensory input information that we receive from the outside world, things we hear, touch, taste, and smell, and it in turn attaches a label to that information and decides whether or not that information is a threat. If it perceives it as a threat, it then in turn sends a warning signal to another area of our brain known as the hippocampus. The hippocampus has a job for controlling body temperature, hunger, fatigue, and sleep. I kind of think of it as the toddler emotion, see, with the brain in the way. But basically, if the amygdala determines that any of this information that it has taken in from any of those senses is threatening, it is going to trigger a release of a flood of energy, what you have probably more commonly heard of as the fight or flight response. Once this is triggered, your body is ready to defend itself against any form of attack. If there's ever an actual threat, such as a saber-toothed tiger chasing you, better be glad your amygdala knows how to do its job, and it does it without you having to stop and think about it. So it does have a purpose. It keeps you safe. The problem comes in later when it's triggered and there's no actual threat there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about that a little later on and in future videos. So that's number 1, protection. Number 2, bonding. You smile at your baby and they smile back. Is there anything more beautiful than that moment? You're flooded with this overwhelming sense of endorphins and bonding and nurturing, and you just want to kiss and smooch all over that baby. Of course, that is how you bond with your child. They mirror those responses to you, and your child in turn bonds with you. Mothers and babies aside, your quarterback just won just scored the winning touchdown for your team. You turn and you high five a fellow fan. You lose a loved one. And you turn to a friend or another family member for comfort and solace and support. We are built for community. We are not built to live in isolation. All of those different feelings that we have, their function is to promote that bonding, to keep us in community. Number 3, a sense of communication. Anywhere from about 70 to 80% of our communication actually doesn't have anything to do with words. It's nonverbal. Emotions facilitate communication, and they help us relate our needs, our wants, and our desires to others. Through that nonverbal language, we relay unspoken cues, pretty much, to the rest of the world. We let others know on the outside what we're feeling on the inside through our nonverbal behavior. If a stranger, or an stranger danger, for lack of a better way of putting it, or an unfamiliar person enters our personal space, tend to back up and give them a little bit of space. Conversely, if it's someone we love or someone we know well, we might go in for a deeper hug. Our facial gestures also reveal what's going on the inside of us. When we're sad, we may cry. When we're angry, we may knit our eyebrows close together and scowl, cross our arms across our chest, sending a clear message to the world, hey, back off, I need a minute. Learning to both send and receive and read these cues is an essential component of how we learn to communicate effectively with the world. Number 4, response. Emotions help us make decisions. That knot in the stomach that you feel before a big test can motivate you to study. It's actually a positive form of stress we call eustress. Getting a little nervous before a public speaking event? It might motivate you to rehearse your speech. So feelings can influence us. They can definitely influence us. Okay, so now that we know where feelings come from and that they actually do have a function and a purpose, what do we do with all of this information to help our child who's having a meltdown? Well, for starters, we learn to make friends with feelings, even the yucky ones. Once we understand that feelings have a function and have a purpose to keep us safe, to help us bond, to facilitate communication, and to help us make better decisions, we can kind of take the fear out of feeling. Even better, we can give ourselves permission to feel freely, without judgment. No labels of good or bad, just function and purpose. One of my favorite phrases from Lisa Turkhurst is, feelings are indicators, not dictators. Yes, we can acknowledge our feelings and admit that, yeah, they can be pretty powerful. But I assure you, just like the weather, if you wait long enough, they will change and they will shift. No feeling, good or bad, lasts forever. Waiting out the feeling helps empower us to learn how to respond when we are in a better place of calm. Children do not have the life experience or the knowledge or sometimes even the language to learn how to label what they are feeling. They just know they don't like it and they are going to communicate it in a way that is usually unpleasant for all parties involved. So, what do? We start by giving them words to use. This is a pillow that I keep in my house, and you don't necessarily have to use this. I always had charts like this, feeling charts up in my office when I was in private practice and when I was a school counselor for many, many years. And I bought this pillow cover just because I like it. But you can print plenty of these off from Teachers Pay Teachers. And I'll also see if I can't put one over at my website, homeschoolcounselingnetwork.com, where you can have a free download and printable so you can have access to a free emotions chart. I find that especially with younger children, having faces that they can see so they can point to and help them sort of identify what they are feeling is incredibly useful. So, first, you start by helping them put a name to what they're feeling. That is step one. When we learn how to recognize and name our feelings, it can take the fear out of it. It can also be incredibly validating for your child to say, "Hey, I see you and I see what you're feeling." And the feeling's okay, even if the behavior is not. Feelings are indicators, not dictators. But the first thing we do is we recognize and help our child learn to recognize and label what it is they're feeling. So, what emotional regulation is and what it is not. First, emotional regulation is learning how to label your feelings and increasing awareness of one's needs. It's learning how to use healthy communication skills to get those needs met. It's monitoring powerful feelings and choosing how to respond to them. It's building coping skills, that all these different tools that we can put in our toolbox that we can pull out to use when we need them. And it's also empowering. It promotes confidence, emotional well-being, and overall happiness. Now you're asking me, okay, well, where are these coping skills that I'm going to add these tools to put in my toolbox? Well, I'm going to talk about that in another video. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite coping tools that I have used over the years, both in my professional practice and at home, and it is called the power of the pause. So please be sure to stay tuned to the Homeschool Quest so you can learn how to practice the power of the pause in your homeschool. What emotional regulation is not is blind compliance to rules, complete avoidance or denial of so-called labeled negative emotions, the yucky ones that we really don't like, and total self-control at all times. Feelings are a part of who we are. We have to learn to make friends with them, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, and appreciate them. Feelings are an indicator that something's going on with us and that we need to learn how to respond to them rather than react to them. I'm going to talk more about reacting versus responding and share a very powerful tool that I have used in both my professional practice and in my personal homeschool to help my child manage big feelings and to help me manage big feelings when they come around. So make sure that you stay tuned to the Homeschool Quest for the next workshop that I'm going to present on the power of the pause. I'm Kimberly Bennett. Thanks for watching today. And to find more information in the areas of counseling, testing, education, therapy, and tutoring to help support you and your family on your homeschooling journey, visit our website at homeschoolcounselingnetwork.com.